Hello, Hrithik Roshan, and welcome to Galattaplus.
Hi, nice and happy to be here.
I think we're basically going to talk about your acting, and I want to begin by Veda
Yeah.
because I think it is the best star actor performance of the year because the role itself was a kind of a flashy role, but you owned it so well that it became a kind of a highlight of the film. It was the highlight of the film. So when you take on a role like Veda or like the one in Agnipath, which was done by somebody else, how do you make it your own?
Well, I just put my head down and do my job. Go about my business. I don't tend to get distracted by thoughts that people would assume somebody who's an actor would be doing a part that's been played by someone else would obviously be, burdened
Okay.
by the past performance and uh, is in a constant state of trying to either better it or avoid any similarities or you know whatever trickles from that space.
Right.
Surprisingly, I have never been I have never succumbed to that. I don't know why. I can take a guess. I think it's because when I sign the film, when I say, this is a character that I want to play, it is an instinct that's formed out of my inability to say no to that film and to that character because it's hit me somewhere.
Okay.
And because it has perhaps touched a core inside of me, uh, I just operate from there. So everything that follows is always, parts of me that I'm constantly accessing because I know that the character and this film has penetrated some way. It's hit that spot, and so it's never been an effort to better something or be afraid of the performance that has become cult. And
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's kind of a flaw as well because I tend to forget it. I tend to forget about it. And then during the release, once the film is done, I start hearing about, oh, how will he be compared to that? And suddenly I realize, oh my God, I've set myself up. I'm going to be compared. Have I done okay? Then I go and watch the film once more and say, "Nee, nee, at least I've done whatever I could to the best of my ability." And that kind of consoles me and that kind of but thank you for saying such kind words for the performance. It's been a very surprising feedback that I got.
You did not
Honestly,
expect it?
was not expecting anything great. Although I must confess that by the time the first copy came out, and I started hearing what the people were saying about the film and about my Veda, I suddenly started building up these expectations. I said, "Acha, I didn't think it would make that much of an impact, but okay, it has.
Okay.
Okay, wow. Oh, I've really done well. Oh, okay, this is nice." So it was something that happened after the first copy came out and people started to watch the film that I started to go from a space of, contentment to greed and desire. Ke, oh, isme kuch, I can get something back in this. Oh, let's pull everything in and rein it all in and finish this film really well. Not that I would not if that would not
Yeah.
happen. So all that was happening, and but yeah, I was not expecting the character to make such a big impact.
And it has. So,
Experience 10 days of Grand Europe trip for easy EMI of Rs 25,000 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
tell me, you just spoke about the thing hitting you, right? The script or the story hitting you, and then you say that I cannot let this character go. Your next film, Fighter, that you're shooting now.
Yeah.
What was that hit you and said, I can't let this go?
So there are a number of different aspects that can touch the core. It could be, the desire and the hope and the opportunity to take your cinema to the next level in terms of VFX
Okay.
or in terms of the world of the film. Creating a superhero these are all things that also can hit the core and, drive and motivate you to give better than your best.
Right.
So a fighter is a film like that. Fighter is a film where the dream is big. The dream is actually scary. It's quite a challenge that we've taken on, and it started with Sid dreaming this up 4 years ago, more than that, maybe 6 years ago, and he's been very persistent that this is a film that we should, and finally the script came to a state where I could see this happening.
Okay.
And it is something that has hit me quite deep. And it's a very difficult film in terms of every time there is a Veda or there is a Super 30, life actually becomes very easy because all you have to do is your job as an actor.
Right.
But when you do films like Bang Bang, War, Fighter, then you have that whole weight of being the star, and you have to get the aesthetics right and all the expectations of you got to look a certain way. That really can sap you. That is a very, very difficult process for me. I'll talk about it personally. For me, doing a film like Super 30, Kabul, is a joy because all I have to focus on is being real, feeling my lines, and all the jobs, all the things that come, which are attributed to the job of an actor.
Right.
But when you got to take up the job of a star, it is unhealthy, actually, in many ways.
What is the job of a star?
Well, again, I'll speak for myself. And when I say star, I'm not saying it in a like with any kind of self-grandiose of.
But Hrithik, you are a star. I mean, there's no harm in. I mean, it is a fact,
yeah,
right?
I had I'll digress for a second, but I had a very interesting thought just yesterday. I was just reading an article where they were talking about me, and every time they mentioned me, they said superstar, 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 superstar. And for a second, I just sat down and I just became a little bit more aware of what that word does to my inside world, and what happens when someone in a podcast or in an interview or a round table refers to me as, oh, he's an actor, he's a good actor. And there's a very subtle but very distinctive difference between the two. And this I'm talking about just how the vibrations are inside with these two words.
Right.
With superstar, I'm very aware that there is a desire, there is the operation of the ego. When I'm being introduced in an international event by a mutual friend to people who may or may not know me, I'm and these are moments that I have caught, that I'm kind of anticipating and judging how the introduction is. Has he called me, the biggest superstar, and all of that? And what's my vibration at that point of time? It's not calm. It's not still. It's not content. It's wanting more.
Right.
So superstar is all of that. When someone refers to me as an actor and good actor, or talks about me as the actor that I am, it's such a warm, safe, secure, fulfilling vibration inside. I'm comfortable, and this is not true for everyone. This just basically goes to show that I am actually more comfortable and calm and more me and more myself being the actor. The star is a responsibility. I'm very grateful for it. Don't get me wrong. I am very thankful. This is something that I cherish, and I know it's been given to me. It's a gift, but it is a burden. It is a burden that I carry, and I have to work very hard to thrive in it.
Right.
I don't want to survive. I want to thrive in it. But it is a journey.
Right.
But as an actor, I feel very, very relaxed when there's no expectations.
Right.
I feel very, very relaxed. Sorry, I digressed. We were talking about
Fighter.
Yeah, fighter. So I think I have worked enough in my life to have earned the tag of actor.
They're not
I
mutually
hope.
they're not mutually separate, which is why,
I know.
like they're not. It's
I
not like
know.
if you're a star, you're not an actor,
I know.
or
I know. I know.
yeah.
It's just one of those strange, unprocessed thoughts of mine, which
Right.
I have just divulged without giving much thought to it.
But I think there is great deal of enjoyment that one derives from a star who's using his stardom to give an actorly performance. Maybe I'm not wording this well.
Yeah, no, but I get what you're saying.
But yeah, so
Words are just
yeah,
pointers.
but the point is that there are many talented actors that are not stars, and when you watch them, you say things like, even though I don't really subscribe to this, you say things like they disappear into a role, or they kind of a thing. But part of the joy of watching a star is also knowing that that stardom is also coming through, because one of the things we go to theaters is to see something that's
Yeah, I
a
guess.
little larger than
No,
life.
no, I agree. I fully agree.
Yeah.
It's a completely different skill set,
Yeah.
if I may say. It's a I'm very aware of that skill set, and I'm very aware when in the middle of a scene, or even when I'm preparing for a scene, I'm very aware of which toolbox I am turning towards. Am I turning towards the toolbox of the star, or am I turning towards the toolbox of the actor? And sometimes it's it's a balance between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely is a completely different skill set, because you could want to be very real, and that's actually the my effort. My effort is to be as real as I possibly can,
Right.
but drive all the emotions and expressions through the filter of the lens of being a star.
Right.
So can I look that way while being real is is the job.
Right.
I guess I'm also just trying to, analyze as I am speaking with you. But yeah, I think this is what I do in films like this, like in Fighter.
Let's go back all the way to Kahona Pyar Hai. And what were your thoughts about acting at that point? Because now you're articulating it very precisely about what it is to be a star, what it is to be an actor. There's a toolbox that's different, all that kind of stuff. But that's your first film. Did
Yeah.
you have any thoughts about this is what an actor should do, or was it just like, did you just follow what your dad said,
No.
and said,
Well, very difficult to really pinpoint what the goal and the aims were exactly at that time. I just knew that I first of all, I just knew that, this is an offer from Rakesh Roshan, the director, because my father told me time and time again that I'm not going to make a film for you. You're on your own.
Right.
So I was doing screen tests. I did a couple of them, and I was looking for work. I'd done my photo session. I had no money, which I promised Dabu Ratnani that I will pay him once I start to earn. So all of that was going on, and suddenly I got this offer. I just knew that I had to satisfy my director. That was my aim, and my director's actor was always a star.
right?
The director that my father is the kind of filmmaker who makes films with actors who need to fit into the mold of a star.
Right.
I had to be that. I was very clear that that's the mold I need to fit into. I need the silhouette to be right, to fit into his film and to do justice. So I just went about trying to achieve that. So basically, I was trying to fit myself and trying to look like the star. At the same time, I think the innocence with which I approached my role, and maybe the kind of person I already was, lent itself to me being vulnerable and real in front of the camera.
Camera.
I think that maybe came from the way I was brought up. I guess I don't know. So the person I was, I think, filtered through, especially in the first half of the film.
You said your father did not want to, like, how did that thing happen? How did he finally say, okay, I'm going to
So
make
when he heard that he's doing screen tests and then he's getting offers, this guy's offered him, this guy's offered, I think maybe he sat down one day and said, "Ye kya ho raha hai? Am I losing out?" Well, that maybe, and coupled with the fact that he was making a film at that point of time with, he had, I think, Amir or Shah Rukh in mind, and that kind of fell through. And he had another thought, and while he was, working on the scripting of that film with all the writers, and I was a part of
Right.
this process, while he was working on that, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks into the scripting of that film, and everyone started like feeling that this kind of film needs like a new boy and a new girl.
Yeah.
You have seen the big stars do these kind of roles, and even I was like a part of that. That noise that, yeah, Papa, I don't want to see Shah Rukh do this, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was all. And when this got very repetitive, he at one moment just and this was at me directly, he said something, not shut up, but hey, no, that's not what I have in mind. I'm taking you in the film. Boom, that was it. The Everything just went blank.
Okay.
Something that I had not expected. I was doing my screen test, I was getting offers, I was, weighing my choices, and I wasn't expecting this.
Right.
And suddenly he says this to me. I didn't know what to do, so I got up and I went to my room just in silence. I couldn't, process. And then I walked into my room and he came, knocked on the door. I opened the door. He says, "What happened?" I said, "No, Papa, nothing. You'll be ready." "Yeah, I'll be ready." 4 months. Uh, "Papa, I'll take about 6 months." Okay. You went through it. That was it.
But you were assisting your father on films like Karan Arjun and Koila, but you always wanted to be the actor.
I was very afraid of what I was going to do in life.
Okay.
The only thing I knew of was films.
Right.
I knew music because I sat with my chacha. I knew films because I sat with my dad. There was
Yeah.
never any other chatter in the house. There was never any academic talk or except for the fact that they were very, very sure that and certain that I must complete my education. It was just assumed that if you complete your education, then everything is good. Thoughts have changed now. Anyways, let's not digress. There was nothing else I could have done at that point of time. I was very afraid. I had a very bad stutter, so there was this, unimaginable amount of anxiety and fear. Actually, the trauma during those years,
Right.
and for many, many years that came after, where my stutter is concerned, the trauma was never the disability. The trauma was the hope. Because, if you're handicapped and you don't have, say, a leg, you're in acceptance. You don't have the leg. It's fine. Nahin. Kind of like the acceptance calms you, then you start thinking about other things. But with a stutter, there's a hope. Because on some days you can say the line, you can say the word. Some days you can't. So the hope living in that trauma was very unhealthy for me.
Okay.
I was in constant fight or flight for I think 20 years. I was in fight or flight.
You mean the first 20 years of your life?
I mean from I think maybe say 15 to 35.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was in fight or flight. Yeah.
So this is even after you started acting.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. For some reason, I allowed the story to kind of take this kind of a shape that wo hota tha, and now he's become a star. So now it's all good. But no, it went on till much after that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a constant struggle and constant hiding from the world and all of that.
Right. So when you you become an overnight star in
Literally, yeah.
literally, yeah, like
3
it's
hours.
just in Kahona Pyara Hai.
Yeah.
Today, when you look back at some of those early performances, do you look back at all, or like
Yeah,
what do you feel? Because
I
you're if I may say this, you're a much more evolved actor today, and there are lots of things that you do very differently and very minimally now that are
do.
yeah. So
I do. I'm still not all there, but
no,
I'm
so how
different.
do you look back at that time when you were a little intense?
Oh, I have to look back at myself with a lot of compassion. You know, I'm kind to my old self. There, if I may refer to my past self as a he, because that was a different me.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better. Just I'm really glad that resilience was something that was, you know, embedded inside me so strong, so deep that you could have at that point of time given me any obstacle and I would have surpassed it. Any obstacle. It didn't matter.
Even the string of flops that happened after that.
No, I mean, you give me anything. Whether it was a stutter, whether it would be films that didn't work, or it didn't matter. I would have surpassed anything because I had been practicing resilience ever since I was in the third grade, thanks to my stutter. So a lot of good things also came along with it.
Yeah.
So I was extremely, still am, of course, very, very resilient. I will persevere till end the day.
This is going to sound cheesy, but you're a fighter, you're saying.
Hashtag fight.
Hashtag fighter.
Yeah, although the fighting has become very kind of peaceful now.
Okay.
There's a calm around it.
Right. You are one of the few actors that who are kind of an overall package. Like you could dance and you could do comedy and you could fight and you could do drama and fida and you could do romance in Kahana Pyar Hai and all that. There was a certain overallness which people look for in a package, right? Do you find that your earlier films were perhaps trying to use all these skills to borrow a word from you in your toolbox?
Not the films. It was me.
It was you. Okay.
That was me. I was checking all the boxes.
Saying my fans want me to do this, my fans want me to do that.
Not even that. It's just what I thought I needed to do to be so that I'd be, I'd get all the love and the acceptance which I didn't find in my real life. So I think I was operating from a sense of vacuum and I just wanted everything to be right.
Right.
So I was just checking all the boxes. I got to be this, that. If I don't have all of this, then not good enough. So I did that to myself.
Okay.
So it was more, and I've repeated this line many a times. It was more like coming first because the dog was chasing me. I was afraid of the dog, and I came first, but scored really well because I ran fast because of the dog that I was afraid of.
Right.
And I'm constantly trying to turn that around into running for the love of it, which I think I did in my last couple of films. I think I'm just around that curve now.
Okay.
Where I'm starting to do it for the joy of it.
You mean to say till about 3-4 films ago, you were still kind of trying to prove that you could do everything?
I was still afraid. I was still afraid of not matching up to the image I had of myself.
Right.
Since I began. So, I created this guy in my head who was perfect.
Right.
And I just tried, just kept trying to achieve that.
Right.
I gave myself very healthy breaks from that when I do films like Kabul and
Right.
Super 30, Koi Mil Gaya. These were my spaces where I let the artist inside me fly,
Right.
and not care about the external. But even in that, of course, for Koi Mil Gaya, I had to look perfect for that part. But at least it wasn't, the sexy guy, because that is really tough. that becomes very, very tough.
In the earlier part of your career, when you had directors like Farhan Akhtar, let's say,
Yeah.
who did you did Lakshya with him. At that point, did you sense that maybe I can also be this, because the sensibility is slowly kind of changing from what Hindi cinema once was?
I would have, I would have, if I had been guided that way by my audience, by the feedback that the box office gave me.
Ah,
I would have probably would have followed another direction. You know, I mean, we don't even have to go that far back. Vikram Vedha released, and it didn't fare well at the box office at all. The feedback that I got was, I mean, of course, there are different parts of me that are conflicted about what I should learn from this, and I think it'll dawn on me much later. But right now, I know that it is not maybe something that people like to see me do.
okay. It as in?
I don't know if I'm taking myself too seriously when I say that.
I think actors should take themselves seriously. Yeah.
We actually, you're right. I am my product, so I, academically speaking, maybe I'm not allowed to. They don't. I'm not allowed to do roles where I am not catering to my fans who want to see me in a certain film with in a certain backdrop, in a certain way.
Right.
If I choose to do those kind of films, I have to treat them as different,
Right.
myself, as in economically,
Yeah.
budget-wise, cost-wise, all of that. So these are things you learn, I guess.
Because one of the things
But yeah, it doesn't get empowered.
Right.
I mean, I say this now that I will think twice before doing a role which does not cater, to the star and to the
Right.
the fans and all of that. But of course, when I hear a story, the actor in me takes precedence, and I always say yes if I can't say no.
Right.
So that will never happen. But there is a part of me that is aware that maybe the way to go is films like War and Fighter, and these are and try and find the flight of my the artist in me within these spaces.
Is it
Perhaps.
possible to do one
So
for them?
this is a part of me, all right?
Right,
But I'm also very hopeful that this might not be the reason.
Right.
It was just the kind of film that that was not meant for a 300 crore box office.
Right.
And I'm sure there are minds out there that can already see that so simply.
Right.
I just have to, kind of recalibrate myself to that.
Right.
And I have. It's a cerebral film. It doesn't. It's not a film that makes you cry. So it's not got the heart of a Super 30.
Yeah.
It's not got the flamboyant or the not flamboyance, but the sex appeal of a war, the songs and dances of a bang bang. It's not got this or that. It's cerebral. It's an intelligent film, and maybe that's the potential of well-made, good cerebral film can become a cult, but maybe not a box office, super hit film.
Now in India, being a star means that fans like certain mannerisms of yours. When I saw Super 30, and probably the reason I liked the performance so much is, which is not to say I haven't liked earlier performances, but it seemed to me that for the first time, you had shed all the baggage of like Hrithik Roshan, the star, and I was just seeing Nandhakumar. Is that the name?
Yes.
Yes, right. So I was just seeing that person, even though of course I'm seeing Hrithik, I know that this is Hrithik and all that, but there was a certain complete immersion there.
Yeah.
And what happened in that film? I mean, like, how did that? You just stick to one toolbox in that movie.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
That movie did not require the star's toolbox. So
But
I
there
was
have been earlier films as well.
I was set free. I was set
Okay.
free.
How? How did you set yourself
Because
free?
of the sheer nature of that film and that character.
Okay.
I just so the part in me that wants to be real and honest is stronger
Right.
than the part that wants to be the star. So that makes it easy.
Right.
So I do the star as a job. I do this for fulfillment.
Right.
I do the real stuff because it fulfills me. The star is something that has been bestowed upon me. Again, that I'm very grateful.
Yeah,
I have to keep saying that because otherwise I'll sound like an ungrateful child. I have set myself free like this many a times because I do get tired of doing
Yeah.
playing the star again and again and again. I don't think I could do that continuously. It's not something that fulfills me in any way because the effort I think is unbalanced. The effort is too much, and what comes back to me is a little less.
Right.
It's there's too much effort.
Right. There were similar kind of roles in Mission Kashmir or Fiza where you could have been an actor, but we still very much see Hrithik Roshan the star.
Yeah.
Which is not I'm not saying this as a good or bad thing, but the
So-
way you portray it is like, that's a very, you have
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the,
No,
there's our songs.
that's not devoid of that skill set.
Right.
That is a star.
Right.
I'm very consciously, putting that out there. I am projecting bits of that guy
Yeah.
that the people want to see. Much less in Fiza. I think by the end of it, when they had that, Khalid likes to call it the Tandav, but that song at the end where he gets all muscular and he's holding the gun, and
Yeah.
so that's like an attribute of like that star. But 80% of that was, I think, very very real, which was fulfilling. I don't think these are the two best films to pick
Right.
to make the distinction, because I think those films are more like, say, Kabil, Super 30, Koi Mil Gaya, Fiza a little bit, yeah. So yeah, I have given myself those breaks, and I will continue to do so.
Right.
Because
Right.
I do not like monotony.
Right.
Films can be different, but the way you're operating in your day, the monotony of that is something that I don't want to get trapped in.
Right. You've worked with a lot of directors that are known to get good performances out of the people that they work with, like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, for instance,
thank
or
God for that.
Zoya, for instance.
Guzarish is one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the kind of films that I do as a break.
Yeah. That scene at the funeral, for instance, where you're wearing those, pink tinted glasses.
Yeah.
That was just, you not being like it was like a thing. And but those also films where you kind of figure
Yeah.
out a break from where,
Totally, yeah. Those are, it grants me the freedom to do that.
Right.
And it's something that the director wants. It's something that the script warrants. So of course, I can't get the baggage of the star
Right.
into these spaces. It would really contaminate it, and it would be betraying
Okay.
my loyalty to the script and to the film and to the director
And to the character.
and to the character. Yeah.
So when you take on these movies,
Yeah.
like let's say Guzarish, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me something that Bhansali told you that kind of changed the way you started looking at the way you perform?
No, there was nothing that he told me.
Okay.
But I think environment that gets created when a man is searching for something that is unimaginably high,
Okay.
and he has that point set in his mind and his heart, and the scene and the performance needs to touch that,
Right.
because he creates that environment. And these are, I think, attributes of all the great filmmakers, is that they create the environment for the performance to blossom.
Yeah.
They don't tell you what to do. They don't say, thoda aisa kar de, thoda aisa kar de, thoda aisa kar de. They create the atmosphere, the things they talk to you about on the set, the kind of thoughts they want your brain to be fed. All of that, everything is going into creating that moment when the camera is on.
Right.
That is what he did and others do, which is constantly wait. There's a wait. You're waiting and you're creating, and you're waiting and you're creating, and you're not letting go of that feeling that exists it's not there yet, but you have a memory of it.
Right.
You have an experience of it, and you wanted to touch that level, and somewhere the actor has to align with that. The actor has to feel it inside, and I think that's when it's good to spend time with your director and understand what he wants and all of that. So it was a pleasure to work with Mr. Bansali. It was really, really amazing.
Right. Is there a favorite performance of yours?
One of my favorite performances, which I thought would last, was Koi Mil Gaya.
Okay.
I was so close to that character, and so close to that. Very recently, I very proudly, secretly proud, showed the film to my boys, Rehan and Ridan. And while watching that film, I'm obviously now watching it through their eyes. I just could tell that, oh shit, I did too much. The world has changed. Everything has evolved. And my kids could see it too. And we had a very healthy discussion after that. And they were like, they got it, they got the emotion. They had tears in their eyes, but they could also discern that, yeah, Dad, it was not all of it, but there were some parts which were, I think you could have done less. And then they were giving me examples of TV shows that they've seen. I can't remember the name right now, but there's a TV show where there's a doctor who is mentally challenged, and the way he has performed and expressed in that. So they were talking about all of that, and I learned so much more, and I was very glad that I could suss that out while I was watching the film.
Right.
So also showed me that I have moved with the times.
Right.
It's not that I have stayed attached to that performance and now I can't look beyond it. So a little pat on my back for that to myself, I think. But yeah, Koi Mil Gaya was one performance that I thought, ye rahega. But that was also gone. Apart from that, I really enjoyed my work to an extent in Super 30. And then I saw that again.
Really?
And I messed up the whole first, I think the whole first 20 minutes, where he's playing the young guy, and I did too much there.
Okay.
It's always better to do less. Kabil, again, really good. I'm good in all these films in the last like 70% of it. And the first 30% I'm doing too much because I'm trying to, just get the audience in and doing too much. Yeah, but no.
Okay. Yeah.
Veda, I'll maybe check him out in about the next 3 years and see how he's aged.
Yeah, I think what was unique about that was also the character, because there was a touch of madness in you that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I like that.
That was very interesting.
I like characters that have that madness.
Yeah,
I try and insert that in any role any character that I find can absorb it,
right.
because that's a huge part of me. I have that madness, and it's helped me get through a lot of ups and downs
Okay.
in my life. Yeah.
What about Akbar?
Akbar. Yeah.
Do you think that was a good performance?
I got saved in Akbar. I think I was good. I think I was good, and I think I haven't watched that film recently, but I suspect that I was good.
Okay.
A bit stiff, a bit too stiff, but I managed to walk the line very carefully, because it's very easy to get theatrical, and I was theatrical, but there was enough heart
Right.
to kind of balance it out. These are my views. I could be wrong
Right.
completely, but I think I got saved. I was just on that line. Thoda aur is taraf, and it would have toppled.
Right.
But I think that balance got maintained, thankfully. But if I do it now, I play it very, very. I just play it like this.
Like a casual,
I
more
played
casual?
casual. I
Okay.
played casual.
All right. But you also said that your audience wants a certain pitch.
Yeah, but you can, as I said, you can drive whatever you want to project and express. You can drive it through the lens and the filter of the star.
Right. That's
That's the job.
And I think you did that in War, because that's
Oh, yeah, I did.
that's not a movie that one would think is performance oriented, but I thought you really got that guy.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But this might sound very indulgent and very, I don't know, some word that's not a good word. But I was really proud of what I did in War because that was not in the film. That was not in the script.
Is that right?
What I managed to bring into the scenes was something that I really enjoyed, knowing that it wasn't there in the script.
Okay.
I should not shy away from saying it because, you know,
Yeah.
we have been taught as a society and a culture to always, self-deprecate. But I
Yeah.
think I want to be an example of saying, hey, what's the opposite of deprecate? Appreciate.
Yeah.
Self-appreciation is very, very important, because you're going to find yourself in your life, with nobody around you to give you that encouragement and that pat in your back. And if you're not in practice of congratulating yourself,
That's
going to be lost. So, in the spirit of that, I congratulate myself on what I did in Ward because
yeah, and let me tell you about that the scene that really
because that's like a really good example of driving everything that I wanted through the lens of the star.
Right. So the scene that where your character really began to click was when you are standing somewhere far away inside the camp and you see Soni Razan's character, and there's just this little acknowledgement, a very very small scene.
Wow.
Why?
Oh wow, that you caught that. Yeah, that
No,
was
no, that was like, I mean, you know that you're the person who killed her husband,
Yeah.
and you know that
Wow.
but that
That
little
really
look.
came through. I mean, the fact that you're saying that's really very, very encouraging for me because you've just empowered a process that I had applied for that one shot. I wanted it to convey a lot more than just a look.
Yeah,
So I'd actually built like a like a proper backstory and
right.
a proper history, and I really had thoughts about my relationship with her husband and her. So all that I think somewhere, and also she has a face that is just so there's so many stories that you could just
Yeah.
imagine on that face. So everything I think came together really well. But I'm really surprised and happy that you mentioned that particular shot because for me secretly that was like a little gem. Not because of like how good I was, but because hey, I worked hard for that.
Right.
I really worked hard for that one shot. uh, I really built the backstory. I really sat down with it. I did my homework,
Right.
and something nice happened.
Right.
The fact that you mentioned it, that's a nice thing that happened. That's
Right, because without that shot and that acknowledgement, I feel that your relationship with Tiger would have kind of lessened a bit, later on. And I
yeah.
think that really positions you as this guy who's not going to apologize for what happened, but also is aware that such
Yeah.
a thing happened. And I did that. That was like, okay, I like this guy,
Yeah.
and he's kind
That's
of
so nice.
this path that you're saying that you've become a more economical actor. Where one of the things that I used to
I should be for certain films. Yeah.
Right. One of the things that in your earlier intense performances that one used to see was that your neck muscles used to taut up a lot, and that intensity would kind of come shake and all that. So how did you kind of get rid of that baggage? Because it can't be easy, because you know that one part of the audience likes to see a hyped up version of a particular
No,
star.
I think I would still do it if it was warranted, if it was required.
Right.
It's the choice that you make when you are making the mold of the character in your head. How much would it take to ruffle his feathers?
Right.
How great and how big a giant is he? How big a hero is he? Earlier, the I think the fascination was with wanting to get ruffled.
Okay.
Wanting the character to get ruffled so I could do all of these things and show pain and the trauma that maybe I've lived in my life, and I want to express it. But as you evolve, you realize that the DNA of a hero, only evolves to a greater degree when you choose for him not to get ruffled by anything.
Okay.
So he's completely unruffled. Then, what is the event that could happen that could actually ruffle his feathers?
Right.
So then the responsibility lies in the script to create the event that could ruffle his feathers, because he doesn't get ruffled.
Right.
I'm choosing to do, uh, choosing the DNA of greater heroes now.
Right.
So, which means that if I don't get the opportunity to do the shakes, because the events in the film are not matching up to,
Right.
ruffle him that much.
Right.
But if there is a script where I feel the need to do that, that means that script has a story that is mind blowing, because it is ruffling his feathers. Because the hero in my head right now is too great.
Right.
Does that all make any sense?
It
to you?
makes complete sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you're just saying that to get to that level of intensity, the event has to power that.
The event has to power it. But also, what I'm trying to say is that the scripts that I read don't reach that level
Right.
of event
Okay. Okay.
for me to be able to do that. So I have not evolved as an actor, as in I have not become economical. I'm the same guy. But my idea of what a hero should be has grown.
Right.
So it's not that I will shy away from doing the physical shakes and all of that. I'm not shying away from that.
Right.
But hey, the stimulus isn't there in the script now
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
For me, for that guy. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
So another thing about war is that you embraced your gray and the gray hair and the age. You're playing a senior person.
Yeah.
Is that something that is also something coming from a personal space where you realize that okay, you're acting with a person from a younger generation, and therefore you want to kind of portray yourself
It's
as
dignity, yeah. I think I like doing films where all the characters have been written with a certain amount of dignity.
right.
If I'm playing the mentor, I need to somewhere look like the mentor. I need to behave, my demeanor, my look. Everything needs to say something about the character. So I think it was just a instinctive. I didn't even put much thought to it. I saw the way it looked. It looked good to me.
Right.
So I'm just going by. I'm not giving it any labels in my head. I'm saying, hey, this looks good.
Okay.
And then the dialogue started, but it's grey. Acha means what? Oh no, you lose your the younger audience. I said, I lose them? ये तो मैंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं कि I am doing this character because I want to buy more and I lose this, and that math has never been there in my mind.
Right.
I have to be true to that's my job. My job is to act, do the best that I can do with this character. So yeah, it was a very simple, instinctive answer. I said, yeah, this looks good. Thank God that I have, those markers in my head that keep me aligned to my work without the distractions of these fears that people try and put in you, that you lose your fans, film will not work, this will not happen. Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. Given your dancing skills, you've not really made a dance movie. Has no script come your way?
I think it's because I'm not a dancer. I'm an actor. So
Okay.
there's never been a need. There's never been a desire to do a dance film. My desire in my films is to be able to, reach the different precipice of different emotions. To reach internally there. Of course, you can say dance is also an emotion, but a dance film is more about your skill set as a dancer.
Which can also have acting. I mean, you could be
Can also, yeah.
this, I want to be like this person who's trying to be a dancer, but he's not getting the opportunity, whatever. Yeah.
Can.
Yeah. I'm just surprised nobody's offered you a role, is what I'm kind of saying. So,
Yeah, well, haven't read a script. Unfortunately or fortunately, this is what happens with films that are focused on, one skill set, like if it's dancing or if it's maybe even like a children's film. It becomes all about that.
Right.
Where actually that should be the bonus.
Right.
It's like I always go back to the example of Koi Mil Gaya. It's like, this was a film. In fact, in that, the character and the story was so endearing that Jadoo became the bonus in the film.
Yeah.
You know, when he comes, you want to believe him. If he came as a cardboard box also, you would believe it because you want to believe it, because you want this hero of yours to 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 be happy.
Yeah.
You know, so this is what I think some people miss out on when they're writing such films. That all that VFX and all of that should be the bonus.
Right.
The film should either keep you in splits throughout, or make you cry, or thrill you. Without that,
Yeah. Keeping you in splits also reminds me that you've not really done an all-out comedy.
yeah, I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to. But the kind of comedy that I want to do, I think, is the serious kind.
What is the serious kind of comedy?
The serious kind of comedy. Okay, let me see if I can explain this. I'm not very good with words, but I will try. The serious kind of comedy is when you take characters, right, and you say he's like this, he's like that, he's like that, and he's like that. Okay, these are his characteristics and his characteristics. And then you throw these people in situations and allow them to react
Okay.
as they would, being the characters that they are. So you're not making someone say something and driving the scene by making the actor say something, because you have a thought of how the scene should play out. How the scene will play out really depends on what these guys will do. So that's for me. I don't know if the serious kind is the right word, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
you're really, the integrity to that character is 100%.
Right.
You know, you can't. You will sometimes not even know that how will this person react? How will this character react? You have to find out. That's when I really enjoy the comedy.
Right.
You
Right.
know, good examples are like some of the Ben Stiller films, and Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
Very, very honest, real.
Yeah.
They're not aware that they are being funny.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're just being in that space, and they're either making a mistake or they are frazzled, and it's funny to the audience. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So finally, given the current climate, there's so much talk about stardom and OTT and numbers coming down and post-pandemic viewing and this and that and all that. What does the future look like for Hrithik Roshan's plans?
I've never really.
No?
I am a slave to my instinct. Yeah.
So you're
I've
just going to do
always
what you've
said that.
always done.
I have no other choice. Of course, I'm being subconsciously influenced, trained by what's happening around me, but and it's subconsciously maybe even working on my instincts. But I'll allow that to happen. I'm not going to give that much thought, because you really can't know everything. You know, you have to let some things just go and have faith in yourself, and in your instincts, and have faith in the fact that you will persevere. You know,
Yeah.
and you will get what you deserve. So I truly believe that all my films have gotten exactly what they deserved. You know, and I got out of them exactly what I needed to get, what I needed to learn.
Truly, you never felt that any film was underloved or deserved to be loved more, or
Never,
never?
never,
Okay.
never.
That's a very evolved space to be
Yeah.
in.
And most of the time, my instincts have preceded the box office,
Right.
and I've been proved right
Right.
most of the times.
Right.
In fact, every time,
Right.
except for Kabil and Vikram Vedha, because as I said, by the end of the screenings, I said, oh, acha, oh, this is good. So the prediction in my head, I think, traveled beyond what I had initially, felt.
And that was actually right.
And that was right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
So-
absolutely right. So, yeah, the instinct that I had when I signed the film was, I think, somewhere correct. That
Right.
it was a nice, very, very nice character in a very intellectual film, and I wanted to work with these filmmakers because they had written this film so beautifully. It was such a well-written film, and I was hoping that times are changing, it's evolving, and let's see if something like this is uh, accepted. But you never know.
Yeah.
I still don't know.
Yeah.
Was the original consumed too much? Not too much, but was it consumed a lot through the pandemic? Because content was like
Yeah.
going insane, and people were watching everything and anything, and so everyone had watched the film. So you never really know what to attribute it to. But I have no other choice but to put my head down and go about my work and do the best as I can.
Right. So thank you, Hrithik. I hope your instincts continue to serve you well. And thank you very much for sharing everything that you shared about your career.
Pleasure. Thank
Yeah.
you.